Sveiki, es esmu Kristers, and I'm going to show you Tinkr, which is a platform for learning programming. It is specifically made for schools, however anybody who wants to learn can actually use it. I'm first going to tell you a bit of my own background and my understanding of how teaching should happen, and then I'm going to demo the actual platform that is available for use. So I've been a programmer for 8 years now, and I've taught programming most of that time also. I've had 300 students from the University of IT College, which is now Teltech, and also another 100 people learning under me from in trainings like grown-ups, or also as a hobby I used to teach in schools also. So this year I thought I have a lot of experience. I'm not satisfied that there's not enough programming in schools and it's not actually that engaging. So how about I make a difference? So what I learned when teaching are a few key points. So first of all, lectures don't seem to work very well. So if I'm explaining a technical subject, then without any experience, this information just gets lost. It has nowhere to attach to. There are some background information, like how the internet works and why that's interesting. That's of course another subject, but I mean specifically programming terms and stuff. Another one is that the code is very abstract. So to understand anything, you need to see results. You need to see results fast, and the results need to make sense to you. So a lot of schools are teaching Python at the moment, which is nice. But we teach JavaScript because websites and apps are familiar territory for students. And so we are able to show results, like when you write one line of code, you will see the results immediately on the screen in a familiar environment. And also if what you're teaching is not interesting for the students, then obviously they're not going to pay attention. They don't really want to think thoroughly about these things. So what Tinkr does is we build projects, and we build projects only. And we take stuff that they are familiar with. If you, all students chat on their phone, for example. They play games, they surf around the web, for example. And this is what we do. We build a chat app, we make their own website, we make a game. I'm going to show you them pretty soon. So in terms of school, I'm also trying to make it easy for schools to teach programming to the point where they wouldn't have any excuses anymore. One major problem that schools have is that there just aren't any programming teacher. If you're a programming teacher, that's great, but a lot of schools just don't have anybody, because if you know how to program, then you kind of may as well go work as a programmer. So I'm trying to enable basically any teacher or parents or whoever would want to go teach to make the materials and platform such that it's easy to teach from scratch without knowing a lot. Another problem with that teachers have is that they don't really know what's going on in the classroom. So I've built an overview so you can see everything that the student is doing. And also, of course, the whole material issue, that making materials is super difficult. If you take somebody else's materials, they are usually, first of all in Python, but also they concentrate on algorithms, which is a very good thing to learn, but perhaps not the most interesting thing for students. Alright, so that's it for the introduction. Let me just jump into Tinkr itself. So maybe I'll show you the URL first. So if you want to check it out yourself, tinkr.tech is the main website. Here's my email also if you need to contact me. You as a teacher will go to /teach, but if you want to suggest a student to go learn by themselves, then they can just go to learn. Anyway, we will start with this URL here, and I have it open. So these, I have currently 4 classrooms available where, basically a classroom is actually a classroom. So students join, you choose a project, and you can learn together. I will demonstrate the whole process. So for example, if I teach in a school called VHK, then I will just write the name so I know what the topic is or whatever. Then I can choose a project, and I will show the project separately. We will start with the homepage because that's the simplest. And then you can choose whether you want the students to proceed at their own pace, or do you want to check every task that they've done. I will leave this unchecked for now. Okay, so I've created a room. Up here is a link that you share to the students. I will copy this and I will go to I will be the student now. So the student entered the link, puts in their name, and then the first thing they say is what they're going to be building. So it's just a simple website with a font changed and the background color and just some information. So when we actually start this project, then this is the main thing. This is where everything happens. So there's a lot to go through here. The Tinkr at the moment is still, I would call, a prototype. So some explanation is needed for the student, like how does this whole thing work. So let's go through it. First of all, the website we just saw previously is cut into steps. So we're going to be building it step by step. Up here on the left, you can see the title, which is the current task, what you need to do. So it says, write the title of the website, cool. Under the goal tab on the right here, I can see the result of the current goal. So this is what I need to accomplish. And your website page is obviously where, like me as a student, my code will show results. Now, as I said before, lectures at the beginning don't make a lot of sense. So what I'm trying to do here is basically have lectures after the lesson. Currently, there are no lectures in the platform. This is for the teacher to figure out what they want to talk about it. But anyway, how do you learn or code without lectures? Is that on the left here you have hints, and if the student comes and writes the hint into the code editor, they can immediately see what happened on their website. And usually what I've actually observed in the classroom is that what happens is the students go, oh, that's interesting. So does this mean that if I change anything here, then I see the results? And voila, they have already automatically made a connection by themselves. They understand better what's happening. So if they look at the goal, okay, Christer's website, perhaps their name is actually Anna, so they would write Anna's website. And our goal here is to help the students to actually build whatever they want to build. That's why we, for example, don't have fully automated testing, because that limits what the students can do. So anyway, once the student thinks that they're done with this task, they just click on next task, and now they wait for the teacher to check their work. So I'm going to go back to the teacher view, so that now there's a student here, and you can see there's a little green mark, which means that the student is ready and waiting for the next task. So I can click on it, I can check the work. Okay, this is exactly what I'm expecting, accept. So as you can see, the teacher and the students see exactly the same result, exactly the same interface, which is very useful. I will now go back to the students view to show you one more lesson here, because it explains quite a few things. So if I look at the title, it says move the title to the center. So this title here needs to go in the center. If I look at the goal, indeed, the goal of the current task is to do this. Okay, fine, it's done. All right, so now I look at the hints, and I'm not really sure what's going on here. Nobody has told me even what CSS is. What is this? So what the students do a lot of the time is they write text align center, and they see the website, nothing happens. Okay, why is that? Then they continue, they write H1, they find the little funny brackets, and they're like, still nothing, what is going on? And then they just look at the code a bit, and they're like, oh, but wait, but there are brackets here, I wonder why. And then they start testing it out, and they actually figure out that maybe something goes into these brackets. Oh, nice, it actually changed, very cool. So when I've used this to teach myself, I've noticed that, I don't know, like a third of students actually figure this out themselves. Another third will be confused by this, but then I will just give a hint and ask them, so did you see the brackets here? I wonder why they're there. And then they're like, yeah, why are they there? And then they actually figure it out still. And then there's the last ones who don't figure it out. And with these students, of course, you can go either in the classroom front, you can show them how to do lessons, or one by one, or however like. You actually have chat here also. This is because this whole tool is remote ready. So if there is another pandemic issue I hear in Latvia at the moment, there's going to be close downs, then no problem. This was built during the pandemic, so everything just works. So what else? If the student is just stuck, they can ask for help. Then I'm gonna jump to the teacher view here. Some students maybe have some experience already, or they're just really smart and proceed fast. So you can enable free flow for them. And now I'm going to jump back to the student view. So now they have free flow. Instead of waiting for the teacher to check every step, they can actually go through all the steps in their own pace. That's really cool. That's proved very helpful. All right, so one more thing in this interface is that when you hover above terms, it actually explains a few things. So one of the skills that a developer needs is reading documentation and figuring out what is what and how stuff works. So I've made a little shortcut here. For example, I'm wondering, what is this text align thing? Then I can actually click on it and it'll take me to the, well, I would say official documentation, but JavaScript doesn't exactly have official, but this MDN is the most official thing you can find. And here they actually have examples, so they can read all of the options, what can you do with this command, and there's a lot of information up to in what browser something works, and just links to similar things. So this is what JavaScript developers come to every day, all the time. So it's something like, for beginners, it's very hard to read at first, but thanks to these examples, it's actually a very good resource. Another thing is that because everything is web-based, then once the student finishes anything, they can actually share that link. So if they make a website, they have a link they can share to their friends, to their family, to the school, whatever. That's really cool. Now, well, there are hints also. This is a bit of a basic concept at the moment. As you can see from the current hint, then this is working code, but it's in the wrong order. This has proved that this is like a right amount of complexity for students. Like, so they can see exactly what rows they need to write, but they need to figure out in what order the rows need to be, and it's pretty tough sometimes, even though it looks easy from this example perhaps. But there is a hint, and currently it just shows the same hint but in the correct order. In JavaScript later this becomes very, very important, that they actually get to see the end result eventually. But there's a 3-minute delay between each hint, so it's not like you can just look at all the hints and not think. Alright, so you've seen now how the student works, you've seen how the teacher works. I would actually show you one of my previous rooms just so you can be sure how this looks like. So if I have 8 students in here, then like there is actually a lot to do for the teacher. Okay, actually I've had 30 students at the same time, and I did manage them just fine. It's not really a problem checking everybody's work. However, there is a little tip that this chat I can myself also use while you are teaching. So if you do actually need help with something, like the student is stuck and you don't know the answer to it, I can actually come in and help you figure it out. Alright, so a few more smaller topics is that first of all, let's go to the Tinkr website. You can read it yourself, everything that's going on here. The logo is broken apparently, that's very interesting. So if I go to the projects page, then here I can see a bunch of examples. Actually, I need to update these. So what I'm gonna do now is instead I'm gonna go to the student examples and perhaps show you the websites here. So anyway, the website we were building is visible here. That is the first project. I need to order these in this view also. But there is a drawing game. You can see if I click, then the bubble actually becomes visible. This is a multiplayer game, so there is actually data going to the server and back. Once your classroom builds this project, they can actually draw with each other together. So that's like, it's really cool because in programming, my personal opinion is that the basic concepts you need to learn are not exactly all the commands that are available, but actually the concepts of, for example, there is a server and client. What is data? Tinkr will eventually talk about privacy and we will have lectures on interesting topics, but first, if you know what data is, then all the other subjects become much more interesting. There is a chat app here, for example. I would like to show it to you in full screen, so let me open it in a new tab. So this chat app, the students will actually build. So if I write my name here and I say hi, then my message actually came through. So again, multiplayer. If your students build this, then they will see each other's text. They will actually be able to speak to each other in the chat application that they built themselves. And it's not really that complicated. Obviously, I've figured, I've built everything, so it would be easy. There is like this chat app, the multiplayer drawing game. These are pretty JavaScript heavy. This bolt clone here is mainly for design. This should be the second project that the students build. This is from their actual website. I have permission to let students build this website. So this is an example of where these layouts are not like super easy to do, and so the students can learn how to design stuff. There is no JavaScript in here whatsoever. So currently there are 4 projects. So that's Tinkr. I hope it can be useful for you. If you have any questions, send me an email. Currently, there are no limits to the classrooms or lessons or anything. If there are projects that you think the students would like to do, then I would be happy to make more of them. Here are the links one more time, and my email. And see you later.